Hello everybody, today we've got the final prediction for the 2024 governor's election, and this was not easy. There's several ratings here that are borderline, and there are some of these states that could have used a little bit more polling. But let's go through these states. We're going to start with the safe states first. These are expected to be a 10 or more point margin, or are otherwise not competitive. However, you could also look at that in terms of confidence. If it's safe, then there should be almost no chance it even gets close to competitive. So we'll start with the Republicans. They're going to get Montana. Greg Gianforte should easily win his second term. They're also going to get Utah. Incumbent Spencer Cox also should easily win a second term. North Dakota is also going to easily go safe. Then we're going to go to Missouri. It's an open seat. Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe should take down Crystal Quade. It should be over 10, but it's possible it gets under 15. Either way, that one is likely to stay over 10 unless there's a blue wave. Then we're going to go to West Virginia. It's another open seat. Attorney General Patrick Morrisey is well positioned to defeat Democrat Steve Williams. Then in the Northeast, we've got Vermont. It's one of the bluest states out there, but they're going to have one of the biggest landslides for the Republican governor there, Phil Scott. He's very liberal, but he's very popular. He's looking to win his fifth term. I think the only question is, can he put up another 40-point margin, or is it going to be a Scott nail-biter, and maybe he only wins by 30 points? Now we've got the safe states for the Dems. First, we've got Delaware. And this is Matt Meyer against Mike Ramone. They did have a late primary, so they haven't had that much time to get their campaigns going. Meyer had a bit of an upset in that primary, and Ramone is considered a bit more of a moderate candidate for the GOP. But it's a blue state. Republicans haven't won here in a very long time. There's not much focus on this race, but it looks likely that it's going to be over 10 and go safe for Meyer. Finally, we've got North Carolina. And 6 months ago, this was the most competitive state by far. It's consistently gotten bluer and bluer. Mark Robinson, the lieutenant governor, the Republican candidate in this race, he's been way too controversial. There's been scandal after scandal. He's taken hit after hit in the polling. Josh Stein, the attorney general, looks like he's in position to win this state by potentially over 10 points. Pretty much every poll has shown it double digits for Stein. I can see in the end it getting down to under 10. So for this, I think it's just at about 10 to 10.5 points. And considering this state, that would be a pretty big landslide. So it looks like that state should continue to have divided government. Republicans dominating the state legislature, but having to contend with a Democratic governor. So there's going to be a lot of vetoes in that state. The only question is, will there be a supermajority for the Republicans? Now we've got 3 states left. Let's go through them one at a time. We'll start on the West Coast and Washington. This is an open seat between Bob Ferguson and Dave Reichert. Reichert is not really an extremely controversial candidate, so theoretically he should do better in this open seat, but this is also a blue state. Republicans have also not won here since 1980 for governor. And there's not a ton of polls here, but it looks like Reichert has not really made this truly competitive. So this is a very borderline rating for me. I could see Ferguson winning it by 11 or 12, but I also think that a lot of times voters do want a bit of a change. Now, it's not going to be enough to flip the state, but I think it getting down to 9 to 10 points, it's not completely unreasonable. So I'm going to assume there's some late breakers here that come back to Reichert. That gets this down to just under 10 points, although if it's over 10, I'm not going to be surprised at all. So this one is going to go likely. Now let's go to Indiana. This is another open seat. It's Mike Braun, the current U.S. Senator for the GOP, against Jennifer McCormick for the Dems. She used to be a Republican, and she was in statewide office as the Superintendent of Public Instruction. We saw something similar happen in Oklahoma in 2022. The Democrat there used to be a Republican. She held a similar statewide office, but she lost by double digits. This is a little bit different because it's an open seat. Plus, there's a Libertarian candidate on the ballot that got 11% of the vote last time. And Mike Braun does have a more controversial running mate for lieutenant governor. So there are some reasons here to put this down under 10. Now, in 2012, when Mike Pence ran for governor here, it was also an open seat and he won by under 5 points. So it's not at all shocking that this state could get under 10. I don't think it would be way under 10. I still think it would be high single digits. And in the end, like Washington, it could also be 11, 12 or more points. So out of caution, I am going to put this down at just under 10, probably about 9 to 9.5 points for Braun. Finally, we've got New Hampshire. This is another open seat, and it's Kelly Ayotte and Joyce Craig. Not a ton of polling here. It's been back and forth a little bit, but Ayotte has led more than not. They also had a late primary in this state. Both sides got the more establishment or more moderate candidate as their nominee. So I think it's close. I've had this as a tilt for the GOP for a long time. I don't think it's impossible Craig could win, but I do think it's going to favor Ayotte. Her name ID is higher. She was a U.S. Senator, even though she did get defeated in her re-election bid in 2016. Governor Chris Sununu has endorsed Ayotte, even though on a federal level the state is bluer. For this office, I think Ayotte is a little bit more favored. It's not overwhelming. I think it's it's about a 1.5 to 3 point margin. So that's why I'm going to say Ayotte has the edge. I'm going to put this at a lean rating. So that's it. That comes out to 8 Republicans, 3 Democrats. The most competitive state is New Hampshire. After that, there's really nothing on the table for either side. It would take a huge wave and a massive upset for the Republicans to flip Washington or the Democrats to flip Indiana. So not a ton of excitement here. Some of these could be off even by 5 points. That's always possible. You could easily make a case for some tweaks here. You might say there's no way Indiana can get down under 10. You might say the same thing about Washington. But there's some caution here given there's some unknowns and there's some open seats. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I get most of these right. But let me know in the comments, how does your map look for these governor's elections? Do you agree with all these? Do you disagree with one, maybe two? Let me know what you think down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.